What's up, you guys? George here. Today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite ETFs and an ETF that I'm going to be purchasing going forward for the next, 10, 20 years probably. And that is ARK Investments. And it's not just one type of ETF. ARK has several types of ETFs. But today I want to go over one that I'm starting to invest in. And if you haven't seen my portfolio video, I'll link it somewhere here so you can see that, because I do have skin in the game already. I'm going to continue to invest in this ETF going forward. And if you're not familiar with ARK or ARK Investments, it's an amazing company founded by Cathie Wood. She's incredible. She knows the future of technology. It's the technology revolutions of the 2000s, and we're just in the forefront of it. And we're going to see some major changes in the way people live, people drive, the way we just consume information. All of that, it's already happening, but it's going to just take off in the next few years. And her predictions anywhere from 10 to 15 years, but I think it's probably going to be even sooner. But I plan to hold this ETF and invest in this ETF and all of these ETFs, all these ARK ETFs. They have several of them for the foreseeable future. So I'm going to go over one of them with you that I think is very interesting, that I'm going to continue to invest in, and that's ARKW. So let's hop right in and I'll go over it with you guys. So here it is, ARKW, ARK Next Generation Internet ETF. Exposure to the next generation internet, including artificial intelligence, big data, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and blockchain technology. So here's a full description and objective of the ETF. I'm not going to go over all this, but like I said before, here's the fundamentals of the ETF. It's cloud computing and cybersecurity, e-commerce, big data, artificial intelligence, mobile technology, Internet of Things, social platforms, blockchain, and P2P. And right here, I thought that was pretty interesting. ARKW is an actively managed ETF that seeks long-term growth of capital by investing under normal circumstances, primarily at least 80% of its asset in domestic and U.S. exchange-traded foreign equity securities of companies that are relevant to the fund's investment theme of next-generation internet. It's basically the motto. Here on the left, you see the fund details is ARKW. It's an active equity ETF. It just basically means they're going to be actively trading it as they need, but with the basic objective of having these in mind, these industries in mind. It's just a bunch of I don't know what that is, to be honest. SUCS, and it's just more information about it. Net assets 5.27 billion, inception date 2014, expense ratio, which by the way is pretty low for such an active and aggressive type of ETF, 0.79. That's not bad at all. Another thing to consider here, and so we'll just go down the line here. So here's the NAV market price. Right now it's at 159.72, which is still a pretty good deal for an ETF. I foresee this being in the 3, 4, 500s in the near future. Here is here's where it's been since inception. And you see this like upward trajectory. Back in 2020, she became really cool and popular amongst a lot of people, and it just soared. Right now, this is the recent dip in the technology sell-off in 2021, but that's normal. I mean, dips are going to happen. But yeah, great performance so far. Here's the actual performance as far as returns. 3 months, 36%. Year to date, 157. Here's what's interesting. The year 1, 3 years, and 5 years. The 5 years is what interests me because I want to see how it's done. But more importantly than the 5 years is the inception. 41% since inception, since 2014. Of course, that's driven more recently by the bigger returns recently. But even if I'm okay even with 20% or even 15% annual returns. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but for an ETF, I'm going to be really interested in it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still very bullish when it comes to the entire S&P 500 index fund. To me, that's my safeguard, but I'm definitely going to start putting more into ARK Invest. And here's why. ARK Invest top holdings right now are some of my favorites. Tesla. She knows where Tesla's going. I've seen tons of videos and tons of information about what her thoughts about Tesla, and they align with my core competency. It aligns with what I believe Tesla can do. So she's the top holdings are some of my favorites, like Tesla, Square, same thing. I've invested in Square for many years. Shopify, Spotify, Roku. You guys got to do your research on Roku. We have a Roku. Just the price and what the technology and the future technology that they're coming up with, you need to look them up. Roku is on there. Twitter, I'm not a big social media. I get it. I'm just not personally a big user of Twitter, social media, but it's part of our culture and it's the future and it's just going to evolve. So Twitter's on there, Zillow's on there. I'm not familiar with Teladoc. I'm not familiar with Grayscale Bitcoin. I know it's a trust. I mean, it says it right there, but I need to look more into it. Twilio, I'm not too familiar with, but overall, their holdings, at least on the top 10, are phenomenal. And so it's like, why invest in all these individual stocks where I can throw my money in this ETF that I believe in, and the companies that she holds, ARK Invest holds. And here's the total holdings. You could just see here, there's just some really cool ones that I believe in that I actually invest. Netflix is on there, JD.com is on there, Zoom is on there, PayPal is on there. If you go down here, let's see here, some Adobe's on there, Pinterest on there, Snapchat's on there, Nintendo's on there. You see Facebook down here. It's a good, solid ETF. I mean, it's very diversified. Look at all these different companies that you're going to be invested in. And you have to do all the work on trying to grow your portfolio. Now, if you've seen my portfolio, if you see my video, there's a lot of stuff in there, and it can get complicated. But especially if you're a new investor, this is a good ETF to get into. It's one of my favorite ETFs. It's a long-term hold. I don't suggest you trying to flip it or trade this. I suggest that you put this in your portfolio, at least, I don't know, if you're starting out, maybe 50-50 with some S&P 500 index funds with a low cost ratio. I mean, this is a low cost ratio, so ETF. So I recommend ARK. Do your own due diligence. Look into them. Go up to their website. I believe in the future. I believe in what she stands for. I get it. I'm sold. I was believing some of the things that she's believing as far as where these companies and the technology and just where the future is going to go. I mean, think about it. You've got millennials and Gen Y, Gen Z that were raised on technology and are far more advanced as far as user comfortability, knowing how to use it, purchasing. Really, they're very open to technology. And it's just when they have buying power, when the Gen Z, when the 15, 20, 25 years old are building their wealth and they get into Generation X and the boomers level of income and level of buying power, it's gonna be like fuel. It's gonna be like fuel to the fire. It's just gonna, and all this technology is just gonna blow up, and a lot of money is gonna be pumped into a lot of these technologies. Now, will we have a technology bubble like we back in 2000 when all these electric vehicle companies coming out and all these internet type companies coming out? And maybe, but I don't think it's going to be as aggressive. People know we didn't know what we were doing back in 2000, 2001 with the internet. It was a baby. Now it's a mature thing. The internet is mature. Technology is being mature. That's why a lot of things, we were testing a lot of this stuff out. We were, working the process, and now it's in, like, all these technologies are in prime position to really take hold of the next 10, 20 years. So I don't know. That's it. That's all I have. I just want to share my love for ARK. They're doing great, even if it drops. I mean, I've heard people be like, well, ARK is going to, go down significantly, like this fund and this hedge fund and this so-and-so and this. It's like, okay, cool. I still believe in the companies though. So it's in my core competency. That's me. Do whatever you want to do. Just want to share that with you guys. That's all I have. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate your support. And those that are already subscribed, I love you. Thank you for your support. I really do greatly appreciate it. And that's all I have for today. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.